I just remember, what was it they were talking about? Was it a broken window in the was it a furnace not working or something?
Well, you see it all on the farm.
Oh, yeah.
They're in all those houses.
Just ugly stuff.
I agree. I do think if he needs to get this one, we got a realtor with us. She was a sharp lady, kind of sit on that group, and she has rentals in East Peoria, I think Peoria, and she is pro this to protect her side. And I think if he gets with something, maybe he's got some. Him.
This guy just.
Well, I know.
This guy.
Dave
just
already
convinced me.
Dave already. Yep.
So all
Yeah.
he did was.
Roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Here.
Densberger?
Here.
Jeffers?
Here.
Call?
Here.
Mayor Migas?
Here.
All present, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please stand for the invocation. May standing for the pledge.
Shall I pray? Heavenly Father, thank you for the beautiful day, this fall day, to celebrate here in our city. Thankful so much for it, and thankful for the great weather you provided, the great harvest we see in the countryside. It's a wonderful change of season. We appreciate that. We appreciate the school activities. I know homecoming and lots of great memories, young and old, on that. And we do pray now as we conduct the business of the city. I pray for your guidance. Thank you that we have the freedom to do so. Do pray that you would guide those who work in public safety, police, fire, public works, as we work to maintain the services, water and sewer. Pray for our children as they go to school for safety. And we do thank you for watching over us and blessing us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approve of the minutes, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the minutes of the regular meeting held on September 18, 2018 be approved as printed.
Second, please.
Second.
Mr. Densberger. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers.
Aye.
Call.
Aye.
Mayor Mingus.
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Communications. We have a proclamation, whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are where people are at the greatest risk from fire. And whereas home fires killed 2,735 people in the United States in 2016, according to the National Fire Protection Association, and fire departments in the United States responded to 352,000 home fires. And whereas the majority of U.S. fire deaths, 4 out of 5, occur at home each year, and East Peoria residents should identify places in their home where fires can start and eliminate those hazards. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half, and East Peoria residents should install smoke alarms in every sleeping room, outside each separate sleeping area, and on every level of the home. And whereas East Peoria residents should listen for the sound of the smoke alarm, and when it sounds, respond by going outside immediately to the designated meeting place, as people who have planned and practiced the home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. And whereas East Peoria first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas the 2018 Fire Prevention Week theme, look, listen, learn, beware, fire can happen anywhere, reminds us to take personal steps to increase our safety from fire. Therefore, I, David W. Mingus, Mayor of the City of East Peoria, do hereby proclaim October 7th through 13th, 2018 as Fire Prevention Week throughout this city. I urge the people of East Peoria to be aware of their surroundings, look for available ways in the event of a fire or other emergency, respond when the smoke alarm sounds by exiting the building immediately, and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of the East Peoria Fire Department. Chief Knapp, any comments you want to make on that? You guys do a wonderful job during Prevention Week.
No, thank you. We are going to be very, very busy and have been very busy over the past several weeks. We will be visiting every school-age child in the city over the next few weeks. Firefighter April Huffstetler and her partners, as I will say, will be out again visiting everyone. Very thankful for the work that she does. From our perspective, we are doing everything we possibly can to educate all of our youth, as well as everybody we come in contact with. And anybody that has any questions, anything that we can do when it comes to fire safety, installation of smoke detectors, anything that we can do, just let us know.
Thank you, Commissioner Colley. Any other comments?
No, I think what he stated is great. I know having some young children in school, East Peoria Fire Department has always done a tremendous job in our schools with prevention. So I say to all the adults that choose to ignore it, listen to your kids. I know mine come home and we go over the plan. They want to know where the ladder's at to get out the second floor and, you know, where to meet should there be a fire. So smoke alarms, can't stress it enough.
And if you do hear an alarm,
makes a difference.
leave that, like in
Yeah,
public, you
absolutely.
see people just sit around because they don't
Absolutely.
believe it's a real fire, so.
Yep.
Okay, public comment from the audience regarding an agenda item. Seeing no one, we have consent on the consent agenda. Commissioner Denver, I turn over to you.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a consent agenda consisting of items numbered 1 through 5 as listed on the agenda for this meeting to be considered by omnibus vote.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call. Roll call, please.
Mr. Decker.
Aye.
Densberger.
Aye.
Jeffers.
Aye.
Call.
Aye.
Mayor Mingus.
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
In which case, Mr. Mayor, I move you that the items numbered 1 through 5 listed on the consent agenda be hereby approved and adopted. The items numbered 2 through 5 having been read once by their title and having laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection be adopted as presented.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call. Discussion, roll call.
Aye.
Densberger.
Aye.
Jeffers.
Aye.
Call.
Aye.
Mayor Mingus.
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, Your Honor, I have but one other item. Mr.
Very
Mayor.
unusual.
It is. Mr. Mayor, I move you that ordinance number 4417, here to attach an ordinance amending Title IV, Chapter 14 of the East Peoria City Code, regulating the installation, maintenance, and repair of utility lines on public right-of-way, be accepted on its first reading, as read by its title, and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call.
Ty, any comment?
This is a little bit of a housekeeping item. We passed the items for the small wireless facilities here a few months ago. There's another section of the code that deals with right-of-ways, and this basically makes a change that points it back to that new code language.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Densberg. Commissioner Decker?
I have nothing right now, Mayor.
Commissioner Jeffers?
I have one item, Mr. Mayor, that needs to be read at length, so we keep it moving up as quickly as possible. Resolution number 1819-072, whereas the city has heretofore submitted an application to the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, the IEPA, for a loan from the Water Pollution Control Loan Program in the amount of $57,348,000. The loan for the purpose of constructing improvements to the city's sanitary sewer system, including improvements and upgrades to wastewater treatment plant number 1, wastewater treatment plant number 3, and the Route 8 pump station, all this known as the project. And whereas, as a condition for the city being eligible and qualified to receive the IEPA loan for the project, the city must ensure that city officials abide by all terms and conditions required to maintain the tax-exempt status of the loan funds as provided in the tax compliance certificate in agreement with the IEPA, attached hereto as Exhibit A, and incorporated by reference the tax compliance agreement. And whereas it is in the best interest of the city to enter into the tax compliance agreement with the IEPA as a condition for receiving the IEPA loan for the project, now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois, that the city's finance director is hereby authorized and directed to execute the tax compliance agreement with the IEPA for the loan from the IEPA for the project, together with such changes therein as the mayor in his discretion deems appropriate, and to take the necessary steps to ensure that the city follows and abides by the required compliance provisions established in the tax compliance agreement. Mr. Mayor, I move you that resolution number 1819-072 be adopted as presented.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Decker?
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. There are several conditions when you receive this kind of money in payment form for a project such as this. I was thinking myself, looking at some of the restrictions, and it's fine because it's a tax-exempt bonds that are used to generate these loans, and it allows us to have a lower interest rate. I'm sure Commissioner Densberger could explain that much better than I, but that's on the surface, that's what's going on. But if you take out, for example, if you take out a construction loan to build a house, and you are working as your own contractor, which still happens occasionally, most banks want to make sure you're spending the money on the house. You're not investing in some other speculation or taking a trip around the world using that construction money for other purposes other than what to build your house. And so there's several restrictions as far as how we handle the money, we use the money, but we use it essentially, the loan is only for this project. And this is, yes, a formality, but it's also a requirement that we comply. Otherwise, we have a loan in the commercial market, which may be a couple points higher, for example, but the loan rate we get is lower because of the tax-exempt status of the funding mechanism. So this is all part of this mega program we have of our rebuild of our wastewater system, and so that is what this is being requested tonight.
Thank you. Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Jeffers. Commissioner Call?
Sir, I have two items this evening. Be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 1819-071, hereto attached, a resolution authorizing the purchase of a powered load system for refurbished ambulance for the fire department from Stryker be approved, and that this resolution number 1819-071 be accepted on its first reading as read by its title, and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second?
Commissioner Jeffers.
Thank you, Commissioner Jeffers. So Chief Beck's done a lot of work on this. Basically what we're looking to do is buy a power load system for the refurbished ambulance that we do not have. It's the next one that we will have. Included in the packet was an invoice from Stryker in the amount of $24,619.08. So basically, we're seeking a payout of $10,000 to go towards the purchase of this powered load system. That will be reimbursed to the city from our carrier, IPMG, upon receipt of the total amount paid. So, make a long story short, this cost of this new power load system is going to be split between IPMG and $10,000, a Unity Point Wellness Grant in the amount of $10,000, and then the 2% board will pony up to $6,500. As I said, you add it up, that's $26,500, and the cost of it's $24,619. So
It's a good deal.
appreciate all the efforts Chief Beck did in this. So at the end of the day, this will be covered by those three entities.
Good job. Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
And next, sir, be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 1819-070, hereto attached, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the city and the county of Tazewell for animal and rabies control services be approved, and that this resolution number 1819-070 be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Densberger.
Thank you, Commissioner Densberger. This is our annual agreement that we do every year. This one is actually for 2019, and it's in the amount of $28,752, which is unchanged to the current contract. So this will be in effect January 1 of 2019, and it's something we do annually this time of year.
Any problems at all, Chief, with the contract? I had cause to use them about a month ago, and they did an excellent job. Appreciate their efforts. Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Call. Audience and participation on a non-agenda item, please come forward. Anybody want to speak to the council on a non-agenda item? Mr. Sells, you're welcome to come up.
Yes, my name is Norm Sales, Springfield Road, East Peoria. I submitted a FOIA request a couple weeks ago asking for information on any meetings relative to a fireman that had ALS that did not work for 2 years, but yet he was receiving full salary. I understand firemen were covering for his position, and the whole purpose of this, because this employee only had 18 years seniority, which has not enabled him to retire, was to get him 2 more years so he could get a full retirement. In this FOIA request, I might as well got 2 pieces of blank paper back, because there was evidently no meetings on it, nobody approved it, but something happened, because we do know, and we all know, that this happened. And I have a hard time understanding how something like this could happen that there's nobody's fingerprints on it. So, and I don't think I'll get an answer on who approved that. Second issue I have, the 2 employees that were fired for theft, lying, dishonesty. We know for a fact that Mayor, Commissioner Densberger, Commissioner Call, City Attorney, and the department head advised Mr. Decker not to bring these people back, but yet these people were brought back anyway. My question to this council, what happens to the next thief? How much does an employee have to steal and still get his job back? You know, we're setting danger, in both of these instances, we're setting dangerous precedents. Because I was in business for 25 years, once you set a precedent, and then you treat the next employee differently, you're now discriminating, and you get into lawsuits. Really what I'm asking, let's run this like a business. And this is a question, how is our workman's comp cost? Anybody have any numbers on that?
Yeah, they're terrible.
Pardon?
They're
A
terrible.
lot.
Okay. What are we doing to control these costs?
Well, I think, quite honestly, my humble opinion, and I've said it for the last 3 years sitting up here, it's time to start having public discussions. I mean, if you want the truth, and we're not going to get into specifics, but, you know, the last 2 years alone have cost the taxpayers a considerable amount of money. And I'm not saying that every single one of them's legit, not legit, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, these are costs to the taxpayers that I personally feel need to be openly discussed.
Once there's an employee that's injured, he files a lawsuit, and a settlement is reached, who approves that settlement? Is it the council?
Individual settlements, no, sir. Individual settlements don't come before us. As far as, getting back to your last question, as far as the cost of what the city pays, I don't have that with me this evening, but I will get it for you. As far as what we pay out in insurance and other costs, there is a safety committee that meets on a monthly basis.
Okay. And the rules on that safety, does the council here never get to see these numbers or approve these numbers?
Yeah, you can, all of us have access.
We are provided with them. They're in the,
Okay.
as the function of the safety committee, there are representatives from each department. It is chaired by, I believe, Mr. Barron at this point.
It is Mr. Barron now.
Robert Cole chaired it previously. There are representatives from our insurance carrier there. The person that, staff member that has been injured is brought in. The incident is discussed, and we try to learn something from those. I think that there are some improvements that could be done to the process. We also encourage some wellness activities. I know the fire department has a exercise regimen to try to minimize those costs. But larger answer to your question, is very expensive, and I think we need to do a better job.
Something you could do that would be of great benefit myself too is that we really hit the legislators hard on this, on the state level.
The system's broken. I mean, quite honestly,
Really,
the state needs
really what I
it.
was looking for here, if the council has to vote on settlements.
We got to be very careful that it doesn't become a political issue, so it's kind of a fine line there.
Okay, because I personally don't think Commissioner Decker should be voting on any workman's comp settlements when he's collected $95,000 in workman's comp settlements. So I think that would be a definite conflict of interest.
Thank you for your comments.
So basically what I'm looking for is a little bit more transparency from our government, of we, the people. I think we're starting to see that in all forms of government, especially when you look at the federal government. It's not setting a very good example, and there's been certain things that have happened here not too long ago that have not been very transparent, and I've had to dig even to find any information on it. And some of it, when I asked for, did a FOIA request, I still don't get any information on it, so.
Thank you,
Well,
sir.
I'll tell you, just since I've paid attention, this year between January 1 and the end of July to date, what's been paid out on claims is over $622,000.
Thank you.
It's a lot of money for a city of this size. So
It is.
that's all I have.
Anybody else want to talk to the council? Evening, Bob.
Hello. I just had a couple articles to read and just wanted to pass on my feelings on an issue that's important to me. First part of an article is from the National Parks magazine. It's the fall issue. One of the national parks in Rhode Island is the Roger Williams National Park. And I'm not sure if you know who Roger Williams was, but here's a little information on him. He was cast out of Massachusetts Bay Colony for criticizing Puritan influence in civic life. Roger Williams established Providence Plantation on land deeded to him by the Narragansett Indians, whose rights he championed and whose language he studied. The new colony, later named Rhode Island, was the first secular state in the New World. Citizens could worship or not as they pleased without persecution. Every plot was equal in size, and women could also own land, weigh in on town discussions, all shockingly radical notions at that time. Williams' insistence on separating religious and civic matters and his belief that each person should, according to his own conscience, either worship or not worship, and this laid the groundwork for the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, separating church and state. The other item I'd like to read is a proclamation by the city of Kissimmee, Florida. It was from September 4th of this year. And it says, whereas the First Amendment states Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of press, or the right to peacefully assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Whereas the city of Kissimmee honors the First Amendment and its importance when welcoming visitors and representing a diverse community to ensure that all those who desire to move here for the betterment of their lives and their families may do so feeling welcome and accepted, regardless of their religion or worldview. Whereas the Civil Liberties Union of Florida and its central chapter work to defend and preserve the individual rights and liberties guaranteed to all people in this country by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, whereas the city of Kissimmee honors the important work that the Freedom From Religion Foundation and the Central Florida Free Thought Community do in defending the constitutional principles of separation between state and church, whereas the city of Kissimmee applauds the work of all three of these organizations in defending the Constitution's promise of freedom and liberty for everyone in our country. And then it goes on to say, now, therefore, the city of Kissimmee makes this proclamation. I don't think the city of East Peoria does a very good job of separating church and state. And I've spoken to somebody about this on council, and nothing's been done. And I think there should be something done. To be fair, it's just a matter of a prayer at the beginning of each meeting is not a part of city government. And so please consider that and the feelings of at least one citizen in the city.
Thank you.
Thank you
For your comments. Anybody else? Mr. Todd?
Ever since I purchased my property, I have had problems with people unmentionable, but knowingly. Now, I didn't get the right to wear this cap without doing something for this country. It's time this country starts opening up their eyes and stop this racial prejudice, especially some people that in their uniforms. I had came to this town with the hopes of being able to improve my home. And I was told my front yard is community property. There's a Texas word for that, bullshit. It's my property, I pay for it, I have a right to say who comes on it and who don't. And I've got a right to be able to improve this property. Anybody looking at my property will have to say that I have increased the desire of that facility by keeping it maintained, improving it with flowers, and my neighbor children consider me as an extra grandpa. You can ask any of them. They will tell you that I love them as if they were my own. You know, I've had enough from certain people that have no business trying to tell me what my front yard is and what it's not. It is not community property. It is mine. I pay the taxes, I maintain it, I improve it. Let's call it as it is. Invasion, unwarranted. Thank you.
Service.
Anybody else? Saying no. Charlie, come on up.
Well, I think it's pretty wonderful that we have people here tonight speaking. That's wonderful, no matter what they're speaking on pertaining to this city. That enlightens me. Thank you, all of you, and for your service too. Now, I'm gonna be real quick. The only reason I'm here is every time I see the word roundabout on the agenda, I'm gonna be here. I did a little study. It's only been a couple of weeks, but apparently some of you are talking to the wrong people about what they think about roundabouts. You might want to touch the senior population. Now, granted, we would have less emissions. I got to go along with that one. But I'll take some more emissions over a rear-ended accident, a side swipe, or a T-bone. Now, I've studied this one down here, and Ty and I have talked, and we get along very well. It wasn't properly planned. I'm not in that kind of work, nor the work I was before to have an idea, but that thing's not safe. And I'm going to do all I can to see we don't have another one. Like I said, if you would talk to the right population, and I have in 2 weeks, and I'm not done, there's a lot of people who don't want another one. I think that I'm going to leave it at that for now because I don't want to upset anybody. But Springfield Road, no. I will be carrying a picket. I live up that road. You've all heard my complaint before about putting one there. Don't even think about it. Well, you could get it done. That gentleman right there will be arresting me or one of his men. We can't have it there for sure. I was going to save that for later, but it'll be back up. And thanks for talking to me, Ty. I enjoyed that. We disagreed with parting ways with our own thoughts. All right.
Anybody else? Hearing, saying no one, motion to adjourn, please.
Council comments?
Oh,
Council?
what?
Council comments?
Council comments, yeah. I'm hungry, guys. From the council. Commissioner Decker.
Yeah, Mayor, first of all, just real quickly address something Mr. Sales said. What he's referring to is something that for me happened 10 years ago. And then after that, one more time. Obviously, I work a very dangerous job. And when the laws are what they are, when an injury is, I guess, finished, that doesn't mean it's finished for the employee. It certainly has not finished for me. I offered Mr. Sales I'd be happy to sit down with him and explain to him. I'm not going to explain in public about my medical history, but since that, I've already had another surgery, and I will have multiple other surgeries throughout the rest of my life. It's something that I have to deal with every day, and sometimes I get emotional when I start talking about it. It was horrible, and it still is. So I'm not gonna, I don't like to get that way in public. I like to keep myself private, but it was the worst thing that I had ever gone through. For me, trying to make things safer, sometimes my job, it's very difficult to make safer, but wherever we can, I think we should. I really appreciate the item that was on the agenda tonight. Thank you, Chief. Whether it be a power lift for a stretcher or what we did a couple years ago when we started the initiative to go with the mandatory toters. I took a lot of flack for that, that people don't want to purchase mandatory toters or purchase toters for our garbage trucks to pick them up. In fact, I saw some comments on Facebook once that said that our employees are just lazy and they don't want to pick up the garbage anymore. That's not true. Our employees were not the ones that brought that forward. Anything that I can do to make it safer, I am all for, because as you pointed out, I have firsthand knowledge, and it absolutely changes your life. It did for me. I do want to talk about, however, I wasn't here last council meeting, and I got to, for the second time, go and help with the honor flight. Sir, I appreciate what you've done for our country. Second time I've been there to see the guys that and ladies that served in the 3 wars that were represented. There were still, I think there were 5 gentlemen who were in World War II that were on that flight, many from Korea and many from Vietnam. It is so touching to talk with them. There was a gentleman, when we helped him into his airplane seat the first day. He was a total lift. He could not move from the waist down. And when we got him into his airplane seat the first day, he looked at me and he said, I've put this off for years because of that. I said, because of what? He said, well, just because I didn't know how this was going to work. I didn't want to be a burden to you guys. And so I talked to him for a little while. At the end of the night, the last time, moving him over to his chair, I said, so what do you think? With tears in his eyes, he said, I am so glad I did this, and I can't believe I put it off for 5 years. The sacrifices these people went through for our country, the least we can do are things like the honor flight. I loved every second of it. It was a lot of hard work, but the time I spent, I'm sorry I missed the council meeting, but I think and I appreciate everybody for being supportive of that. It is such a great thing to go. I got to witness even 2 back-to-back laying of the wreaths at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. If you've never seen that, it's amazing. So really appreciated the opportunity. Chief Beck was with me on that one, and it's such a great event. And I wanted to say this tonight, if any of you or someone you know and love is a veteran, please get involved in the honor flight. It is something that means a lot, and they will remember it for the rest of their life. Thank you.
Thanks for doing that too, Commissioner. Commissioner Densberger.
Workers' comp. Commissioner Call alluded to it. The system's broken in the state of Illinois. It is. Anytime there's virtually 0% causation, the employer bears the cost. There's nothing we can do about that. That's a state legislature issue. It's been brought up many times, and nothing substantial has taken place. One of the things that we do through the safety committee is review incidents, try to learn something from them, hopefully educate employees. I think we need to do a better job of holding all staff accountable for following safety policies and procedures, and where they don't, we need to get serious about enforcing those procedures. It's for their own safety, it's for their own good, and that in and of itself, I think, would help us lower our costs. It's about holding people accountable, not just for, they're responsible for their own safety, but they have to follow the rules and use the equipment as it's intended to be used. So I think that as a city, we need to take a look at that from an employment aspect. We do whatever we can to support them in getting them back to work as quickly as possible, which is, I think, good practice both for the employees and the city. We do what we can to supply a safe work environment. But accidents do happen, and when they do happen, then the employee certainly deserves the support that they're due. But we need to do a better job of policing that and at the same time providing that safe work environment and supporting them so that they are prepared and able to do the job the way it's intended.
Thank you. Commissioner Jeffers, please.
It's kind of hard to follow Commissioner Decker's comments. It's a great story about you going on the honor flight. I know about 5 years ago we knew of a veteran that went on that flight, and so we were there at the airport when they came back. And that was really cool at the Peoria airport, just hundreds and hundreds of people, and it was like a rock concert. These guys come back, and I'm sure it's the same way still today.
Oh, yeah, it was packed.
But just to comment on the workman's comp, Commissioner Dinsberger, we've had years where it's been lower. We had a couple of really good years, or maybe we say we're lucky, where the costs are low. But it's true that it's real reality of what happens when you have a workforce of several hundred people and you get that bump. But it's something that I know we've worked. It's our goal to keep people safe and healthy, and we're not wanting them to. I know we've really done as far as the shop area and so forth. I will address Public Works. We've really tried to make that a better work environment. The shop, the lighting, the markings on the floor reminds me of Caterpillar now. I'm walking in there, and the walkways. It's just good practice, cleanliness and procedure. But one thing I'll mention. We're in the process of this $57 million loan with the IEPA. And I don't know the resolution. I know as of a week or two ago, we've been waiting for a sign line to get this all checked off in Springfield for the loan, because we want to get it out for bid and so forth. And until we have the loan secured, we really can't move ahead. And time is money when you're talking about increases of costs and the season, trying to get in before the winter, or, early is good. And one of the things we had happen, and this just shows you what happens. You talk about things being broken. One of the persons who's in the sign line to sign off on the loan retired, and they have not found or not replaced him yet, and they didn't have anybody in the sign line to sign off on this loan procedures. There's the last thing to sign off, and I'm thinking everyone has a boss. And if you're out, then your boss has the authority to sign off. And I couldn't understand why Springfield. Anyway, we have been working with Springfield through legal and through even some legislative folks to get this done. But we've done all we can do, Mayor.
I know.
And I probably come back to you, Mayor, let you carry the bigger hammer to see what you can do. But I know our staff's working it, and I think probably Mr. Triggs and his team is also trying to assist us on this. But we've done what we can do, and yet it's waiting because of a signature. Everything's proper. It's all good. But it's just the chain of command has a break there, and it makes it real difficult. So it's what we have to deal with, but it will work. It'll work out. So
We'll get
that's
on
all I
that,
have,
too.
and
Thank you, Commissioner.
thank you.
Commissioner.
Just a few quick announcements. The free car seat safety check the fire department does is scheduled for tomorrow at Central House right up the street by the train tracks from 1 to 4. On October 4th, which is Thursday, the Chamber has its 19th annual Oktoberfest, which is a big business expo, open to the public. For those that have never been, I encourage you to go.
Fun.
It's amazing how many businesses are there. Lots of neat stuff to see and do. That's from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Paradise. On October 6th, Saturday, the Beautification Commission is doing their fall bulb sale in the atrium right out here at the Civic Complex from 9 to noon or sold out. And I can tell you, for those that haven't been, usually it's sold out before noon. So I encourage you to show up early. It's a limit of 40 bulbs, and it's only open to East Peoria residents. Also coming up, October 14th, is the 32nd Annual Firefighter Memorial Service. That will be held at the Festival Building at 2 p.m. And if you've never attended one, we've lost 4 firefighters in the history of East Peoria in the line of duty. It's a really, really neat service. So if you've never been, I encourage you to possibly attend. The only other thing, I agree with Commissioner Densberger's comments on workers' comp. The reason why I'm so passionate about it, just read the laws and pay attention, because at the end of the day, the taxpayers are getting fleeced. The way the laws are written, and I understand protecting people that have legitimate injuries, it is ripe. It is absolutely ripe to be taken advantage of. East Peoria, go back and look, since 2007, we've paid out nearly $3.3 million in settlements out of the general fund. And then you wonder why I'm so passionate about looking into it. We've got to rethink some of this stuff and redo the way we do business. And no one up here is to blame, okay? It's just a function of what's important to you, and that's important to me. But the mayor is absolutely right. This isn't just a local issue. This is something that people need to have serious discussions about. And it needs to be addressed. So,
Thank you, Commissioner.
appreciate it.
Now we'll take a motion to adjourn, please.
Mayor, I move that we adjourn until Tuesday evening, October 16th, 2018 at 6 p.m.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
We are adjourned. The legislature.